You need a spray bottle. You can use any kind of spray bottle filled with regular water. I like to use an infinity spray bottle just because I like the distribution of the water. It helps the hair not get too wet because it sprays an even amount of water everywhere. And so, what I like to do is make my hair nice and damp. You don't want it dripping wet because that will make your hair very fragile and it can lead to breakage. So, what you want is your hair to just be nicely damp, especially if you have low porosity hair. If you don't have low porosity hair, you may even be able to just skip this step and go straight to the next one, which is applying a little bit of moisturizer. So what I do is just make sure there's no water just like sitting on top of my hair. Because again, I have low porosity hair, I kind of need to work the water into my hair. And then now I add my leave-in cream. This is the one from African Pride. It is one of my favorite leave-ins of all time. It is so good and very affordable. I will link every product I'm using in the description box below so you can just check that out. Nothing is sponsored. So here I put quite a generous amount all over my braids and then all on the braids at the ends, including right at the ends of my hair. This gives the hair a nice slip and it prevents any breakage and any damage because this is a delicate process. And if you have experienced a lot of hair growth like I did, this is only 3 weeks after I did these braids. My hair usually looks like this after 5 weeks, so I know that whatever I was doing is really working. So what you want to do is make sure you're very gentle but generous with products here, because once you're done with unbraiding, you are going to wash your hair, so you don't need to worry about putting a little bit too much conditioner or the conditioner being a little bit too thick. So you don't have to use what I used. You can use a leave-in treatment, you can use a leave-in cream, a moisturizer, a regular conditioner, just not maybe a deep conditioner because that might be a little too intense, but even a regular conditioner is fine because we will be washing our hair. So starting with taking the hair down, I do not braid my hair all the way up to the end, so it already makes it a little bit easier to unbraid. And what I do is I follow the braid exactly how it is. I don't try to like unbraid the hair from a different point far up at the top and start like pulling hair out. I just do it with my fingers. I do not use a comb. I do not use anything else to try and take the hair down. I only use my fingers and I focus on using the pads of my fingers. That's mainly because that's the best way to prevent the least amount of breakage. I also do it very slowly and gently because when you're untangling your hair slowly, it prevents less tangles. The best way I can compare this is if you have a pair of headphones or any kinds of cables that are kind of tangled, if you pull very hard, they will start creating knots and it will be very difficult to untangle. But once you just become extremely gentle, everything just kind of falls apart on its own and it becomes very easy to untangle. Your hair is the same. That's why I'm doing this first braid in real time. So you can see that I'm very gentle and very slow. If I feel like there's a little tangle somewhere, I'm very gentle with it and undo it in a nice, calm fashion. The moment you start getting like aggravated and pulling hair, you're going to create tangles, you're going to cause breakage, and it will not end well. So here what I do is I make sure I focus on this little front section and be even more gentle than anywhere else, because most of us get a little bit of buildup in the front of our hair. Even though I wash my hair every week in cornrows and braids, if you happen to put a little bit of gel on your hair or anything like that, the buildup is most likely right at the start of your braid, and that is where you can cause a lot of damage and breakage if you're violent when undoing your hair, and it can cause you to have very short hair at your hairline or even get really damaged edges because of how you undo it. So as you can see, I'm very gentle and this whole braid has been just a breeze to undo. There's been no like excessive knotting or anything like that. And my hair feels extremely soft. And as you can see, it's not wet, but it's basically like reverted. It doesn't have the texture of the braid, which means it's pretty soft. So here I don't need to spray any water or anything. I can go straight to detangling, and I detangle with a wide tooth comb. I don't use any smaller comb like a tangle teaser because I will do a second detangling stage when I'm washing my hair and adding my moisturizer in the shower. So as you can see, it is very easy to detangle right now with my wide tooth comb. The comb is just gliding through, and that is what you want even after you come out of braids. If your hair is severely matted and tangled, that could be a sign that you took really bad care of your hair when it was in the braids. But for me, I was taking really good care of my hair. I was oiling my scalp, I was moisturizing my braids, and so even during the takedown process, my hair is feeling amazing. So now what I'm doing is I'm just making one loose twist with the braid, the hair that I took out of the braid. And this is because I'm detangling as I undo every single braid. So I don't want the hair to start mixing because the curls are obviously going in different directions because of being in braids. And it will be much more difficult to start detangling the hair if I section it afterwards. So I find that doing it like this is much easier. So now you can see I have basically doubled the time. So if it looks like I'm doing it a little bit more violently in the other braids, I am not. It is just really sped up. So that's why it might look like that. So here, as you watch me take down the rest of the braids, here are a little more tips for what you can do to make sure that you get the most amount of hair growth and, more importantly, retain the most amount of length in cornrows. Now, here's the thing. Out of almost all the protective styles, in my opinion, cornrows are the ones where you can achieve the most amount of growth with the most minimum amount of breakage. And that is simply because all your hair is braided down to your scalp, meaning it's not going to be moving around. You're not going to say, oh, today I want to put my braids in a ponytail, and you won't be moving any hair across any single direction. The hair stays in the exact same place that you braided it, which means it is also the most low manipulation hairstyle out of all the lowest manipulation hairstyles. Now, the reason why a lot of people might not see growth when it comes to keeping their hair is cornrows is because you either didn't take care of your hair before you went into the cornrows, during the cornrows, or after. So yes, everything is important, but I think the before and after care is way more important than the care during the cornrows, which is still important, but just not as important. I find that a lot of people will go ahead and blow dry their hair at extremely high heat. And then they're also going to be very violent when detangling their hair and parting their hair. And then they braid the braids extremely tightly to the point where your scalp turns red and you've got like little bumps. And so now, as you're putting the hair in the so-called protective style, sure, it's going to stay in the same place while it's in the braids, but you've caused such severe damage while putting your hair into the braids. And so when you take them out, you think, oh, these braids damaged my hair, but it's actually the way you braided them. The second thing is now the aftercare. So as you can see, I'm being very gentle as I'm taking down the hair, as I'm detangling and all that. If you are very violent during the detangling process, or you make your hair soaking wet so your hair is fragile, or you do it on completely dry hair and potentially you are not moisturizing it while it was in the braids, now what's going to happen is as you're doing the detangling, your hair is going to be breaking off. So even if you got some length, you're not going to retain it. So care during is definitely important. So moisturize your scalp. As you can see, everything is out. And that is the only shedding I got, which is amazing for my thick hair. So now I am just tying this hair. That's how I usually keep it. And I let it sit for like an hour or so just so my scalp can rest, because even though I'm being very careful when doing the unbraiding process, it still is adding a little tension on the scalp. So now I was prepping for my wash day and I started by using my rosemary rice water. I actually made a whole video all about this. This is like my ultimate rice water. It's got a bunch of other ingredients in it which just make it the best rice water I have ever made. So I will link that video in the eye if you want to figure out how to use it. As for now, this is not a necessary step. You can definitely go straight into the shower and go straight to your shampoo step. But if you want to do like a pre-poo, which means a pre-shampoo, by the way, you can either do maybe a hot oil treatment. So put some hot oil on your scalp. Not hot enough to burn you, just warm. It's just called the hot oil treatment. And then you can go and wash that off, or you can use a pre-shampoo treatment like the one by African Pride. It's got aloe vera. You can actually use that to detangle your hair because that's what it is meant for. I've used it before and it's really good, actually. I would recommend that. Or you can do rosemary water or plain rice water, or you can try the one I'm using right now. So what I made sure to do is to leave the hair in the twist it already was, because I knew I was going to add this step. So I had access to my scalp very easily with no tension. I was just lifting every single twist, focusing some of this product on my scalp and then putting a little bit on the hair. Now that it is everywhere in my hair, I am doing a nice scalp massage just to get the maximum benefits of all the products of the rice water I'm using. And once that is done, now I can take down the twists. I will not be detangling still because the hair is already mildly detangled. But the reason I'm taking them down is because when I wash my hair in 4 sections. So right now I will just be separating my hair into 4 sections and making 4 large twists. If you want, you can just clip your hair in like 4 sections. It's basically the same thing. So this is what I do to separate my hair. Even if you don't wash your hair in sections, After taking down a protective style or a low manipulation hairstyle, I recommend you washing your hair in sections just to limit the amount of tangling and breakage and to make sure that you focus on every single section of your hair without leaving anything out, because sometimes you might not notice that maybe as you were washing your hair, you didn't really shampoo the middle of your head or the back of your head or something like that. So separating it just makes sure that you have every single section of your hair covered. Right now, what you can see me doing is spraying a little bit more rice water on my edges just to maximize the benefits, because this is the most fragile, delicate, thinnest part of everybody's hair. So adding a little bit of extra anything is always a good idea. Also because it washes off and comes off the easiest. So now after I worked that in, I put on my plastic cap and went under heat for 20 minutes. After that, I went into the shower and did my regular wash day routine. I will list my shampoo and deep conditioner in the comment section below. Anyway, I washed that off, moisturized my hair as usual, and this is what my hair was looking like in the evening or the next morning. I honestly don't remember. I think it's the next morning because my hair is dry. And as you can see, very little frizz, very shiny, extremely healthy. I definitely got a little bit of growth, but I'm not going to lie to you and say I got 3 inches of growth. Let's be realistic, okay? I got a significant amount of growth, faster than usual, possibly about half an inch more than usual, because my hair looked like how it usually looks after 5 weeks in 3 weeks. If you enjoyed this, hit my face on the side of the screen right there and watch how to make the rice water on the side of the screen there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!